Well, everybody, how are we doing today? It's been a long week. It's been a very long week. We had a nice 4th of July. Everyone had a little bit of vacation over at Kobold Press after the Kickstarter. I worked a bunch today because it's been raining here on and off over in Milwaukee. So how's everybody doing? Are we doing well? We ready to talk about the Smallfolk? We ready to look over how you can play kobolds in TOV and using the core fantasy system? I'm super excited for this because the Smallfolk has two things that I think are going to hit really hard with the audience. I really do. So before we go into that, we got a couple news pieces to talk about. We have an amazing new sale to talk about. We got a little bit of Gen Con info to talk about as well. And then we'll build into, or I should say build, we'll get into the PDF. So let's talk news. Let's just bring it over and start going over the amazing stuff that's going on. I'll show you the lineup for the day. So we're gonna be talking about news. Obviously, Monster Madness is our new sale. Playtest, the Valiant Soil finale tonight, and obviously join our Discord. Those are the topics today for topic time. Oh boy, this is a killer sale. For all of you that have been with us, you know that we do a bunch of sales throughout the summer, and this one is no different. So right now, Kobold Press is doing the Monstrous sale. Enjoy 20% off select monster titles to celebrate the release of the revised Tome of Beast 1. Back in March, we had taken a look at this. This was the new version of kind of like the Tome of Beast remastered, but this is the revised 2023 edition. We've done some side-by-sides between the old version and the new version back in March. You can go find that over in our YouTube playlist if you're looking for it. It goes, I want to say it was the end of February, beginning of March. And today we have a sale for all that. So the featured products right now, and secretly, if you don't know, Creature Codex is actually our second bestiary. No one knows that, but the Creature Codex is our second, basically Tome of Beast. But there's also the Creature Codex layers, which deals with the different layers and how to run them with some special pieces in them. Tome of Beast second edition, Tome of Beast 2 for 5th edition, Tome of Beast layers for 2. And there is Tome of Beast 3 on here as well. And you can see there's even some of the VTT licenses here for Foundry. So if you're looking for more monsters for your games, or you're prepping TOV games right now and you're play testing things and you want more monsters, these are perfect for you. It's really easy to add stuff to it. So everyone's been asking a lot about conversion. After running the 3rd episode of Valiant Soil last Wednesday, I can say that pretty much all of the beast books that we have work pretty harmoniously. And you're only adding a few things if you look at the stat blocks to change from the old version to the new version of what we're doing. So if you're looking for more monster stuff, pick it up while you can. It's 20% off, and a pretty awesome deal here. Like I said, they have print, PDF, and the VTT editions right now. So check that out. If you want a link to the sale, I will drop it in chat for you. And this is our Monster Madness. Just got this leak this morning, so brand new. With that said, let's talk about today's big topic. And I think this is probably one that most people have been asking about. We wanted more ancestries, or sorry, more heritages, more lineages to look at. And the only way to really do that is to give you another playtest packet. Now, a lot of people didn't know this was coming out. I didn't find out until end of last week that we were getting this. So I'm super excited. I knew it was in the lineup. I just didn't know how quickly it was coming after the TOV Kickstarter. So if you want to download it, you can go over to over to Tales of the Valiant here. Right at the top, it says Playtest. You click that playtest, it'll scroll you on down to the playtesting process. Shows you the schedule that we have here, the public, which is Smallfolk and Kobolds. If you back the Kickstarter, the Druid and Ranger have come out. And it is a doozy. Eventually you'll be able to see those as well in the alpha, I believe. But only backers got these. We wanted to give a sneak peek for all those people who are helping support us in the Kickstarter. And then I'll be looking through them at a later date. I just want to give everybody a chance to fill out their surveys, do everything, and then we'll look at them live here publicly in an upcoming upcoming Kobold chats, probably this month. And with that said, just go down here and you can click the lovely playtest packet. So one more time for those who just joined us, a whole bunch of people popped in. Tales of the Valiant, click playtesting. Scroll down the bottom if you want the Smallfolk playtest packet 4 here. Click that and you can direct download it. That'll give you access to what we are about to talk about today. So there's a lot here. It's a hefty little PDF. It's only 4 pages, but there's some stuff I don't think we've ever seen done for kobolds, and a really kind of unique way to look at Smallfolk. Also, by the way, I love that we're calling them Smallfolk. Ooh, my pedal's way over here. I think Smallfolk is an amazing way just to label everything kind of in that category. I'm excited. At least I'm excited for it. So has everybody been here for Kobold chats when we've done reviews? We're going to scroll through them, talk about what they are. If you have questions, I'll answer what I can. And like always, if I don't have an answer for a question, I'll write it down and I'll bring it back to the Warrens and see what I can get us for an answer. So let's look at the new Smallfolk stuff, everybody. And I got something, well, if we have time, I have something extra for us to talk about afterwards. So let's go over to that and see what we got. So, core fantasy role-playing, you can see that that is on here. Oh, I'm way zoomed in. Hold on a minute here. What? You can't even see all the wonderfulness. Just got random things going in the background here. It did random today. So, core fantasy role-playing, this is what we're looking at right now. Let's playtest packet 4. It tells you how to use it, lineage options. For those who've not looked through TOV yet, if this is your first time, lineage and heritage is how you build your character. They are kind of a fundamental building block for Tales of the Valiant and core fantasy. If anyone wants to know what those licenses are, why we have 2 different ones, core fantasy roleplay is going to be the public one for everybody to use. That's why it's now on here. Project Black Flag was our original name for it. Core fantasy is the public one, and Tales of the Valiant is our internal license. That allows us to kind of control some of like our IP stuff that we're gonna do. But everything's going to be open for people under core fantasy, like all of your beasts have actual descriptions now, and today Smallfolk and kobolds are getting added our version of it. So I love this packet for the little bit that I've looked at. So when we scroll down, we got our kobolds first, and kobolds, as we know, are very special for us here at Kobold Press. I mean, it's in our name. They're cunning people with draconic features. Legends differ from origins of kobolds, but many believe they were once full-size dragons transformed by the trickery of a jealous god. Cagey, strategic, and highly adaptive, kobolds are found across the world. That's our brief description. That's kind of like our public one for our core fantasy role-playing system. We got some lineage traits in here. They have an inborn sense of mechanical aptitude, because, you know, we all know kobolds for traps, and we can't take that away from them, right? We have to keep that with what we're doing, which often manifests as trap making and tinkering. The crafting of traps has become such a monumental part of kobold civilization that those are rare kobolds born away from their own people still gravitate towards occupations, hobbies that allow them to craft small, potentially dastardly creations. Though they possess long lifespans and a penchant for curiosity, claims that many kobold lives as time does. Yeah, I mean, when you're a pain in the butt and you do dumb things happen. Play a stupid game, win stupid prizes. So we have our kobold lineage traits. We obviously have age, usually around 80 years is what they live to. Some are more than 100. That's, you know, I mean, that's a long human lifespan, especially for a fantasy set piece. If you're an adventurer, we all know it's 25 years. I mean, let's just be real. Adventurers don't live longer than 25, right? That's the end of adventuring. Isn't that when it goes away? I think that's how it goes. Their speed is 30. We kept them even though they're small. We heard what people said about dwarves and the fact that dwarves shouldn't be slower. We kept the speed at 30 for them, so your little kobold friends don't have to be suffering in the slow category. So we kept them at a 30 foot. They have dark vision. You'll notice that we changed terminology. A lot of people didn't like the night vision name, even though that's what it is. Everyone was familiar with dark vision, and they didn't want it changed. And That's fine. So we did that. On top of that, Tinkerer's Fascination. Your innate fascination with how things work allow you to use tools with ease. Whenever you make an ability check with a tool, you can roll a d8 and add the result to your check. So if you're using tools to do something, I mean, oh my gosh, this makes amazing crafters. You can add a d8 to what you're doing. That's pretty awesome. And that's for all kobolds, no matter what you pick out of the ones that we're going to talk about here. And then a natural adaptation. You inherit one of the following unique traits determined by your size. Now, this is new. So we all heard, you know, we have a Smallfolk for our fighter that we made in March. That the public, right here on Kobold Chats, you get to play as that person. You make all the dice rolls, you do everything. It's a live play on stream where you're doing the actual play. And this medium size, I think, is lending to that concept. On top of that, we kept our small but fierce as well. So think about that when we go into this next piece. I did see a question here, so I wanted to switch over. Kobold Press, is there any specific regions kobolds originate from for the Midgard setting? I remember Dragon Kingdoms being their own thing. I don't know, Sharp. I am not familiar with Midgard in that way, but I can ask. I think a Google search, we could probably even find out what that is, but I don't know offhand. Midgard is staying as it is. Midgard is a 5e or an OGL setting. Right now, we are focused on doing all the Tales of the Valiant stuff, which means Midgard can just be played using Tales of the Valiant. I would suspect as we get through the Kickstarter and do these two books, our two big books from the Kickstarter, you'll see more stuff come out, maybe within the Labyrinth stuff that we put out, maybe within the blog post. But right now, I don't see anything slated for like us redoing Midgard for TOV. Not yet. So also, the lift on that would be insane. So as for where they come from, I don't know offhand. I would have to do a quick Google search on it. I actually don't know that. There might be, but they're all over the world. So I doubt they're just in one space. And the lore for Midgard is going to be different than what we have in Core Fantasy or what we have in TOV. So let's look over what these two versions are. Small but fierce. When a large or larger creature can see, you can see within, I think it's 5 foot. Yeah, 5 foot of you attacks you. You can use your reaction to attack the creature immediately after its attack. So if there's something that's large or bigger, you can basically use your reaction to smack that person afterwards. That's kind of awesome. So that means that you're really good with tools out of the gate. They all get natural adaptation. And after that happens, you can also use a reaction if they're within 5 foot of you to, so if you're within their space, if they're swinging around with that reach, you have a chance you can try to attack them afterwards. That's cool. This can make a really good rogue, or a really good fighter, a real skirmish quick fighter, giving you the ability to attack. I am happy that we are seeing extra actions for attacking and reactions being used in creative ways in TOV for two reasons for me as a GM. I feel when you have the ability to make more than one attack in a round, when we have these large hit point pools that we're all used to, it allows you to speed up combat. I noticed that running Tales of the Valiant, and specifically Valiant Soil on Wednesday night, that when fighters and rogues get these extra attacks that you normally don't see, and they're chunking out damage faster, you can get through combat a few rounds quicker than normal. I like that versus dragging out combat for 6 to 10 rounds, which could take your entire session. So that's our small but fierce. Within 5 foot of you, larger, you get you get a chance to use your reaction to attack. Dragonkin. Now notice this is medium size. A lot of people have been asking if we were going to do a Dragonborn. I've been alluding that we had something kind of set up. This is it. Dragonkin are medium size. Naturally thick hide and scales provide significant protection. You have a natural AC of 13 plus your dexterity modifier. Additionally, you have resistance to one of the following types of damage: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison at character creation. So this concept means that we have our dragonborn to a point. Like you're big, bulky, medium-sized, dragonkin, kind of the step up. And that lends back to the idea that they were originally some form of dragons that were changed through trickery. So you're going to use this for your style however you want. I know a lot of people have been asking for that, or like half dragons, and this is kind of our solution for it. And granted, this is a playtest, so as the main book comes out, as the alpha comes out, we may see changes and more stuff come out. And when you do your survey, which at the bottom of this, they'll have a survey link. Think about that. If this is something you're looking for, I think that kind of fits that size. Because remember, your lineage is going to add more stuff to the heritage. Heritage is just the, vice versa. Kobold lineage is going to add a lot more when you put heritage onto it. And right now, this is a nice little setup. You're getting a D8 for toolkits. You get dark vision. You got 30-foot speed. And then on top of that, you pick one of the two features that makes you kind of your kobold. But then we have the next part. We have Smallfolk. This, I think, was a really important piece that we added to our core mechanics. There's been a lot of talks about how do you handle halflings? How do we handle gnomes? How do we handle all of those things? And we wanted to make, I think, a combined or a joint effort that is a little bit of everything in it. Smallfolk are diminutive creatures, humanoids, who have relied on community and cleverness to survive a world of big threats. These brave people have walked the land for centuries, but are largely overlooked in historical accounts, since they rarely perceived to be a threat by larger peoples or big folk. Also, can I just say how happy I am with the fact that we are using folk? It's kind of cool, right? I like that it says folk. This is not animating for me today. Oh no. I'll have to look at that in a minute. She's just static today. The fact that it kind of was a classification of like everything together. I don't know. It's not like us using the word hobbit, right? It's a little bit of anyone who's smaller. It's definitely not dwarves. So all small folks share a near supernatural affinity for the earth, and distinct groups of small folk are categorized by how the people have embraced said affinity. Early in the history, small folk split into two major branches. One group, the gnomes, split off to build communities almost entirely underground. The other group, the halflings, remained on the surface to build farming communities. Regardless of whether they chose to live, smallfolk possess boundless enthusiasms for improving the world around them. Their ancestral homes are filled with bounteous creature comforts resulting from ingenuity and hard work. While many smallfolk generally live where their whole lives in cozy communities, where others of their kind seemingly bottomless zest for lives drive for more adventurous members of this lineage to travel the world and settle in more unusual climes, which I believe climates is what we're looking at here. Small folk inevitably fit in wherever they go, and the troubles seem to roll off their backs magically. This is I think this is a great way to handle small folk. I feel like gnomes in our surveys, definitely said that everybody still wanted them. Right? Everybody wanted gnomes. Everybody wanted halflings still. We thought about combining them into one thing and just kind of like ditching the term gnome for this. But there are still people who wanted gnomes in their game. And in order to do that, we had to find a way to make it so that it was a combined piece, I think. We could have made them separate. We could have. But they share so much of the same stuff. And when you look through history, the concept of halflings and gnomes, depending on where you are in the world and your fables, your folklore, and your tales, almost the same thing, right? Like, halflings are derived from hobbits. And we had to find a way to bring this all together. So I'm excited about it being this. Yeah, and you prefer, and that's it, Frog. You could still be one. You're just a small folk and you're a gnome. We still gave that description in there. I like both. I've played a lot of halflings in my time. I always found them to make really fun fighters or traveling. Like, I was a big Willow fan growing up. I loved Willow. Well, we're not gonna talk about the new Disney series. That's not what we're here for, because that was heartbreakingly bad. It was not enjoyable. But I loved Willow, and I loved that concept. So I always saw it as being able to play my Hobbit dreams. You know what I mean? I'm gonna reboot this while we're talking. Yeah, you can go back there. So I always thought it was cool that they added this to the idea of having halflings in the game still. I played wizards all the time. And then when sorcerers came out for, what was it, 3.0? I was playing them then too. I loved the idea of playing a little halfling wizard. And to me, that halfling wizard gave us Willow, right? And I wanted Willow to be in my games, and halflings were the solution to that. So yeah, Project says, yeah, it makes sense to me and fits well with world building for Project Mira. Okay, cool. Yeah. Gnome halfling, both are good for juggling. I mean, if you're a giant, they're really good for juggling. I just hope that we see. I hope that we see more. I hope we see more things come out for them, and I want to see more Smallfolk abilities brought in from all the folklore that we see, which is easy to do now, and we'll see why. We'll see why it's easy to do. So, Smallfolk lineage traits. Here's your traits. Your Smallfolk character has certain hereditary traits dictated by their lineage, same as we do with Kobolds. They live typically to be around 150 years old. That's normal. We always talked about those two things, being older and having a longer lifespan. In I think all of tabletop gnomes and halflings have had that, right? I don't know, Frog. That's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised as more product comes out that you don't see more things come out. Also, to be a deep gnome, you could easily take a heritage piece, right? Which we'll see in a sec here. Speed is 30 foot. We didn't slow them either. Grounded, once per day, when you fail a save, you can re-roll the die and use the new roll. Regardless of whether the new roll is a success or a failure, you generate a luck point. So this is that whole halfling's lucky piece that we've seen forever. Like, they're lucky. This is a great way to show lucky for halflings. You're talking about giving them the ability to continue doing what they do already, which is keep their lucky, right? But this is like, I roll a save, I'm going to use grounded, regardless if you make it or not, you're lucky. And now you get a +1. For those who are not familiar with Tales of the Valiant or the core fantasy system, I'm just going to say Tales of the Valiant for the rest of the show, because I don't want to have to say both. For Tales of the Valiant, for those who aren't familiar with it, the way luck works is we've taken inspiration out, and anytime you fail right now in the mechanics, that's not to say there's going to be more later, but right now, like, if you fail an attack roll, you gain a luck point. You can hold up to 5 luck points. If you ever gain another luck point that would push you past 5, you roll a d4 and your luck resets to that number. The goal is to drive players to use luck to help move the story forward in the way they are looking to move it forward. Nothing is worse than failing a roll and being just a few points off, right? But advantage and disadvantage, while that is in the game, it doesn't always guarantee success. You know what I mean? So when you roll, you can add up to, if you have 5 luck, you can add all 5 and say, I got a 10, but I want it to be a 15 because you know DCs are around that. You pull all 5 luck points. Boom, on a D20 roll for an attack roll, you get it added in. But you can also do 3 and re-roll. So instead of getting advantage, you can re-roll what you rolled. That's another way to do it. And if you hit 5, it resets. So that means that halflings have the ability to gain luck in a new way. So not only is it just attack rolls, they can get it when they use their grounded once a day. And no matter if they pass or fail, they gain luck. I think that's a great way to do it. Tool says, to be honest, I just hope there isn't a a rehash of all gnomes, halflings tropes. There was a novel, I forget the name, that had gnomes as the dominant species that enslaved humanity. Do that. I don't think we're enslaving humanity using gnomes. That sounds like some Dark Crystal-esque evil in the game. I have had gnomes be bad guys. Look, this is a high fantasy core fantasy set piece. We've put out a lot of dark stuff over the years, like all the Empire of Ghouls stuff that we've seen. There are things. So as we continue to produce things past the core system, the 2-book set that's in the Kickstarter, you're gonna see more lineage and heritage pieces come out. So this is the core fantasy version, which is just a blanket for fantasy. This is our version of our D20 system that runs parallel to 5e. So we have to be able to make gnomes and halflings feel similar without them being identical to what we all know from D&D. That's what this is doing. Well, obviously we are building blocks to make more stuff outside of that. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Tool. Yeah, no, this is conversation. I'm not razzing you. I'm just talking too. So you get the grounded. That's awesome. Small stature. You can move through the space of any creature that is medium or large size, or larger size. Not even large. Medium or larger size. Additionally, you can attempt to hide when you are obscured by a character medium size or larger. How many times have we asked for this? How many times as a GM have you heard, I'd like to hide behind X? How many times have we heard that? Want to hide behind person A or B. And notice, as of this version, that didn't even say friendly. You could move through the space of a medium person or a large person and then hide from somebody else on the opposite side in combat. So you can do the run and slide through the legs through a door and hide from the rest of the combat people. Boom, gone. That is amazing. I might find a way to work that into the show tonight. Hold on here. Where's my notes? I'm going to write this down. Smallfolk VS tonight. Expect to see a halfling tonight. I didn't have it planned, but I do now. I see in the chat, someone asked, are we going to see winged kobolds? I don't know. I don't know what's going to be available. I know we're not shying away from movement features. You know what I'm saying? Like if you play a grove-based heritage, you immediately get a climb speed. I would not be surprised if we do see something like that. All right, so back into it. So I like that small stature. And I love these. I love these behind the curtain pieces. If you haven't seen any of our other playtests, our designers have been adding behind the curtain notes on like our thought process behind why we are doing what we do. I love that we are doing this because it lets you, instead of trying to assume reasons that we do stuff or why a designer would do stuff, it actually gives the idea behind it. So you can either be on the same page with them or at least understand the direction they are coming from. And I think when you're making changes to a system as beloved as 5e was, you have to kind of talk through the process a little bit. I'm glad we're doing this. And my understanding is this is going to stay in the books as we go through these kind of thought pieces. So right here, it even says, as we create lineage options for the core fantasy role-playing game, we're taking another look at a way to better organize 5e options regarding halflings and gnomes. Though each has a distinct flavor, neither of the 5e race seems to manifest with a strong mechanical identity. Traditionally, halflings were slightly quicker and gnomes were slightly tougher. However, in the CFR, a separation of ability scores from lineage, this difference becomes even less pronounced. Very true, because we've dissected the idea that stats come from being the gnome and halfling, and now it comes from the heritage option, which that means we had to do something. The Smallfolk lineage is an effort to combine the common strengths of halflings and gnomes to make these characters more interesting and viable by combining similar parts and diverging where they become different. Please let us know your thoughts on the change in the playtest feedback forums and in our Discord. Opinion about these contents of these playtest packets directly affect the final version of the game, which is true. And we're gathering all of these as we're putting big things together for our alpha and obviously for the final books. If you have not joined up with our Discord, I highly recommend it. Our Discord is got constant conversation going on. You can just do !Discord. If you are looking for people to talk to, or maybe you're looking for games, we also have our Kobold Chronicles starting back up. We did one in May, and I think they're either at the end of this month. There's another one coming up in August. So check that stuff out if you're interested in being a part and playing games. Sooner than later, you'll probably see us transferring over to this stuff. Maybe after the alpha. So with that's just a little behind the curtain. I could be an ankle biter. Halfling name, Rasputin. Fun fact, the real Rasputin was 6'4". Truth. He was very tall. So here's the other things you get out of this. The natural adaptation, just like we saw with the Kobold earlier, you're going to get the pick between gnome and halfling. That also means as more small folk come out, we could add that natural adaptation in here. You inherit one of the following unique traits determined by whether your characters are gnomes or halflings. Gnomish, your ancestors made their homes underground or in dark woodlands, providing you with dark vision. You have superior vision in naturally dark and dim condition. You can see in dim light within 60 foot of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it was dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of gray. So we're now giving that kind of merger between those two things, if you didn't notice that. Key piece right here. Key piece. Where's my highlighter? Let's do highlighting. Key piece here. I'll just highlight stuff. Key piece. Right? Halfling. Your ancestors made their homes on the surface, displaying, what is it? Outsize? Displaying outsize. Oh, okay. Outsize puck to drive back hostile wildlife and monsters. You have advantage on saves against being frightened. Halflings are fearless. They're bold, they're brave, they're valiant. They are fearless little creatures, small folk that are ready to fight. So advantage on save against being frightened is cool. That means you're a plucky little small folk. Like, you are seriously the brave one. All right, I kind of dig that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we give them up here, we give them the idea that all of them are grounded, both gnome and them, right? And they both get the small stature, so both of them are plucky and good in close quarters combat against medium and larger creatures. They're both grounded, but then you pick these two. I cannot be happier with this. And my feedback for this would be, thank God I never knew I needed him to be one cookie. So now we get into the options. And before we dive too far into the options, this new heritage has been talked about everywhere since it's released for us. And it's the cottage heritage. And I play cooks a lot in tabletop RPGs. In real life, I love to cook. I practice it daily. I worked in the food service industry for a long time. I've helped build food trucks. I've done anything under food. I love good food. Good food. And I mean, I found a way to make Thanksgiving ramen, like homemade ramen out of Thanksgiving leftovers. It was so good that is required for me to make it every year. Now I make it in large batches for people, right? So yeah, exactly. I mean, I've worked in Detroit, Chicago, New York, and I'm now in Milwaukee, and I love it. So pandemic struck a chord for the food industry real hard. And this heritage made me very happy to see when it came out. So it's gonna be hard for me not to pick this all the time. I mean, all the time. I feel like I should change this. This needs to be food. This needs to be food. Hold on here. Food. And we'll put, what do we like? We need a good piece of food. Here's a bowl of rice. Let's go with that. We'll go with this bowl of rice. So, we took a heavy hit. Backpack chicken. Myth, you'd be surprised. Cottage heritage. Characters from this heritage were raised with skills and traditions of an organized, integrated agricultural community. You hail from a self-sufficient community of people whose lives revolve around working the land. People of this heritage are hardworking, possessing various skills required to grow food, care for livestock, and create necessary goods. Whether these people hail from sleepy village of dozens or a thriving countryside full of vineyards, family and community are critical to the cottage way of life. Even characters who choose to leave this life behind often carry strong ties to the hearth and home as they adventure into the wider world. Y'all, you're gonna see one of these in every game. I'm calling this now. Comforts of home. As part of a long rest, you can cook a meal, tell stories, or perform some other activity that comforts your allies. Choose a member or creature who participated in a long rest equal to your proficiency bonus. Notice we've used that for a lot of things in this as proficiency bonus. Those temporary HP last until expended or until you complete your next long rest. So now you can give temporary hit points to everybody as you cook food. Everybody equal your proficiency bonus. You get up there in levels, that can be, 5 to 10 hit points extra. And you're like, hey, yo, here's some food. I know you're a fighter. I know you had a hard time. Or your berserker, here you go. Or your person who's going to be doing talking up front and you want your bard not to get, stabbed if things go wrong. You want them to have the extra hit points. Homesteader. You have proficiency in either the animal handling or nature skill. Right out of the gate. You're going to that whole idea of cottage home. Maybe you're a ranger. You know what I mean? Our playtest right now is a ranger, a cottage ranger. Awesome. With their dog. You immediately get handling or nature skill, and that means you can move that skill to something else. Languages, common and additional language of your choice. Typically, cottage heritage characters choose halfling or gnome. Doesn't have to be. We're just saying, yo, that is something you can do. I love this little comforts of home. I think it's a great concept for a character. We have the salvager heritage. We all know this is coming from kobolds. Characters who choose the heritage were raised with the skills and the tenacity of making do with whatever is at hand. Their people have been, for whatever reason, forced to carve out a society away from the comforts of traditional cities or settlements. Actually, both of these could do that. Salvager communities might cluster in inhospitable or difficult to access locations or patrol enormous expanse, moving from opportunity to opportunity without drawing attention. From an early age, members of this heritage learn to build shelter, weaponry, tools, whatever materials they find. Among these groups are patient opportunists. Knowledge, resourcefulness are deeply respected skills prized above all else. The first thing you get is crafty. You have proficiency with the tinkerer tools and one artisan tools of your choice. Cooking utensils, potter's tools, or wood carving tools. This is very different, everybody, than being a blacksmith. This is about all the other things that you are doing as a craft. I love this. This is a really good concept. And this is also cool because they brought tinkerers in. And for all of you out there who are a fan of Tinker Gnomes and their tool armor back from 2nd edition in the Blue Book, you can make yourself that Tinker Gnome you've always wanted to be all over again. I loved the Tinker Gnomes back then. I think it's pretty cool. So back in the day, 25 plus years, I had a cook, irony, a gnome, who had a magic recipe book. Problem was the recipes got mixed, so the party didn't know if they should eat when I cooked or throw it out. Hey, I've watched Food Wars. I know what that looks like, everybody. I know what that looks like. Food Wars, sometimes you gotta make poisonous food to make people realize that your other food is really good. So if you're cottagecore, so that's our crafty. Repurpose. You can create tiny non-magical items using materials from your surroundings. Any item that takes 1 minute to create and can be anything of 25 gold piece value or less from the adventuring gear table. Coming in the alpha kit, you're going to be able to see more of what our gear list looks like when the alpha kit comes out. And that's what they're talking about with this, is the adventuring gear table. Also in the main book. When done, it must, what does it say? It must sit or float on the surface within 5 foot of you. When done, it must sit or float. Huh. You can make things afloat within 5 foot of you. These can be used to create ammunition, light sources, precarious but functional climber's kit. The item obviously is kit bashed, and the resale value is minimal. After one use, the item becomes non-functional. You're MacGyver. You're MacGyver. Oh, I need lockpicks. Well, I guess lockpicks are probably 50 though. Languages, common, an additional language you chose. Typically a scavenger heritage, choose Draconic or Gnomish. And then the last one in here is the supplicant heritage. Supplicant heritage. I've not read this one yet. Characters who choose the heritage were raised with the values and traditions of community bound to serve a monstrous overlord. Oh, we're getting into that kobold life. Throughout history, monstrous creatures or fearsome might and intellectual have sought domination. But dominion implies someone to be dominant. Minions, servants, subjects made loyal through adoration or fear. You know, tyranny is a thing. Your people served or still serve such an overlord. They built their lives around whatever whims and commands fell to them. While many creatures are suitable for candidates for monstrous overlord, the most common are mighty dragons who rely on servants to maintain and defend their sprawling lairs. As such, most supplicant communities live in natural shelters such as caves, thickets, and precarious rock faces where they can use their vicious traps, cultivated deadly hazards for protection. Kobolds. There are many reasons a member of this heritage might leave home depending on the people's relationship with their overlord. Yeah, I mean, it might not be bad. You might be kobolds working for a dragon because you can work the smaller areas, and it's more of a symbiotic relationship. You get along. While they're an overlord because they're large, they may not be something that's evil. You might be worshiping a metallic or something that isn't evil in nature. There are many reasons this merit might leave. The overlord might command the subject to embark on an expedition to gather information or treasure, or perhaps the overlord has been recently dispatched, forcing your people to carve out society founded on strange or new freedom, or to seek out a new overlord to serve. I actually really like this. I think this is going to be pretty fun. Scurry. As a bonus action, you can move up to 10 foot without provoking attack opportunity. Run in, bonus action, scurry away. So you could run in and hit somebody, bonus it, and bounce. Right? Nice. Good rogue mechanic. This movement does not trigger traps or hazards that you are aware of, even if there are. Oh my lord. You could now... Hold on a minute. Let's think about this mechanically. You can now set a trap in an area. Let's say a bear trap. Simple bear trap. You hide it. Monster has to see it. You could run in, stab him or tap him or do something to him, sap him, then use your bonus action to dash over your trap into another area. And as they follow you, you step on the trap. You can literally set up traps. If you have traps and tunnels, you can trap it. Where has this been? Where has Scurry been my whole GMing player life? Whoever designed this, bravo to the Warrens. This is genius. This is really good. And supplicant, you have proficiency in either the insight or persuasion skill. When a creature within 30 foot of you spends a doom point, you have advantage on ability checks and saves until the beginning of your next turn. Okay, so for those, is this once a day? Is this always? It's always. That means that this negates doom points. Some of the doom point stuff. So for those who are not familiar, the GM gets doom points. There's a few ways you can do it. There's an advanced one where failed rolls gives that specific monster, a doom point. And doom points can be spent in one of two ways. It's usually to give a disadvantage on a save or an advantage to themselves, that means that if I spend a doom point on you, you just ignore it and wash it out. Because a doom point basically gives disadvantage to something. There are other doom point structures you can use. In Valiant Soil, the soil in the area gets a doom point when things happen. And when those doom points are used, I can do some extra things with them. But that's a cool little, like, nah, I'm not scared of you. I had an overlord my entire life. Your doom point means nothing to me. I've lived around doom forever. Thank you for shopping at Kobold Mart. And languages, they're known for taking Draconic, Giant, and Deep Speech. Right there's your Deep Gnome. Take this. Deep Gnomes served overlords in almost everything. And then, of course, we talk about the Warrens all the time here. We had to make the Warrens heritage. I think this is a secret one we just kind of got snuck in, right? Which is good. I didn't know this was happening. So let's talk Warren's heritage. Characters with heritage are raised in subterranean tunnels or other tight spaces in tight-knit clans. Children are raised in groups called clutches without an identifiable set of parents. They're dotted on by several caretakers who tear the young from infancy to early rear. My bad. Ooh, I was like tear. Dang, I'm getting mean. Who rear young from infancy to early adulthood. Members of this heritage commonly work as miners, alchemists, merchants, digging up treasures, refining them within the tunnels, and selling them out in the larger world. You know, kobolds. At all stages of life, society's exceptional social, matriarchal lines of descent are important. Though male kings rule a clan, clutch mates are the tightest relationships. On the rare occasion that an outsider is adopted in, the individual is assigned a clutch within an expectation to bond quickly. So you get brought in and you're like, this is your family, your clutch. Very draconic kind of feel to it. I actually think born from an egg is what I think of when I hear the word clutch, to be honest, or birds, that kind of feel. When members leave, often through exile for crimes or a loss of clutch mates, they find a new clutch mates as soon as possible. Safety is paramount consideration as it ensured by trapping against intruders and standard procedure. Everyone within the community understands the nature and location of traps, though it is not proof against them. So they all understand they trap their stuff to stay alive. These people are enamored with their tools. They decorate, name, and improve them. They often show their tools to each other as if prized possessions. Speaking well of another member's tools and tool work is a high compliment. So these are all your tinkerers and trappers and builders of tools. Tinkerer, you have proficiency with the tinker tools and one artisan tool of your choice: alchemist supplies, carpenter's tools, or glassblowing tools. Trap maker, here we go, everybody. When you make a check to create, identify, or disarm magical or non-magical trap device, when you have a relevant proficiency, double your proficiency bonus. So dealing with traps, you get double your proficiency bonus. Like 2 becomes a 4 at low levels. That's a lot. I mean, considering that in 5e, advantage was considered a +5 if you took it for passive, right? Trap making, really quickly, that proficiency bonus becomes that advantage you used to get. So you're part of a clutch. You could have been adopted. Oh, that means, hold on a minute. If you could have been adopted, could you imagine when you're playing, like, if you're playing a human adopted by Tinker Gnomes, or if you're playing we've seen this story so many times. The adoption of somebody else into like a clutch, raised by wolves personality type, or, you know, I mean, if we go into the old D&D, we saw that with famous fictional characters being adopted. So this kind of gives you that feeling that you are part of a clutch, even though you may not be small. So that means other people can take this. I like that. It's pretty cool. Pack tactics. Your nimble frame allows you to weave between foes and friends. You have advantage on attack rolls against a creature if at least one of your allies is within 5 foot of you, and the ally isn't incapacitated. We've seen pack tactics all throughout 5e. We're now just giving this the player side of things. I think typically they have common in one additional language. Typical Warren's Heritage characters choose Draconic. This is going to make a great Ranger. Great Ranger, great trap fighter. I mean, now you could, that means you can literally play a trap fighter. You know what I mean? You can play a fighter, like think about this for a minute. Let's just do a little quick mock-up. If you play a gnome, right? You're automatically grounded, so you get bonuses on saves. You get small stature. And then if you take dark vision, so you can see well in the dark, right? Your wizard casts a spell to obscure everything, or a darkness area, and you know what's there because you know the traps are there. And with that, you pick up the one of you is a trap maker, and then the other one of you has the supplicant, where you can scurry without provoking traps or hazards. You could set up a trap, the other one can scurry through into the darkness and be in a safe space. I'm gonna see entire Smallfolk parties at the table. I can already feel this. A dwarf, a kobold, a halfling, and a gnome walk into a fight, and everybody dies. Like that is what this is gonna become. Super cool, everybody. I'm really a big fan of this. The surveys are up as well, where you can go and fill out the surveys. They are currently ending July 14th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you were looking to be a part of this, the feedback is at the top here where you can fill this out. Again, if you want to pick it up and you don't have it, you can pick up TOV. All our playtests are currently on the Tales of the Valiant site that are ones that are public. You can get 1 through 4 along with the playtests of our Valiant 4. That is what is going on right now. You can pick this up. Again, today, in case you missed it, we do have our Monster Madness sale. Just for those who came in late to the show, I want to showcase our Monster Madness. For those who are interested in getting more monsters for their game, Kobold Press has their Monsters sale this summer. 20% off selected Monsters titles, PDFs, print, and this also includes Foundry VTT editions for some of these pieces. If you're missing any of the Tome of Beast 2 or 3 or the layers, now's the time to pick those up at a 20% discount. That is going on right now as well. We always have a summer sale. And then I want to remind everybody what is going on right now for Gen Con. For those of you that are going to be at Gen Con, we have, I think it's 120 tables. I think it's 5 to 6 players a table. We're going to be running live playtests, our first public Kobold Press playtest. We're going to be running all throughout Gen Con. On top of that, for those 120 tables, we had miniatures made for the characters at the table. You're going to see the Ranger there, more than likely. You're probably going to see the Druid along with the other Valiant 4. And you're going to be able to play those at the table and take the mini home with you. So if you're going to be at Gen Con and you're interested in picking up Tales of the Valiant Future, you want to try it out, try to get into one of those games, that is the thing to do. And you get a mini when you walk away, which I'm excited for because the minis look amazing. They're by Eldritch Foundry. What's up, Catchy Cantrips? Thank you for the raid. We're just getting ready to close out for the day. For those who just joined there, I will put it in chat one more time. We do have the Monster Madness sale right now. Madness. I didn't put a thing in this because I got it just before we started. This is Monster Madness. 20% off some of the selected Beast books, our Tome of Beast, and our Creature Codex if you're looking for some more stuff. We just got done looking over the new playtest packet 4 with the lovely Kobold and Smallfolk and the amazing, I believe the Cottage Heritage is super cool. I'm excited for that as well. If you are wanting to be a part of it, pick up your stuff at TOV for your playtest. And if you backed us for the Kickstarter, again, we all just want to say thank you from the Warrens to everybody out there. This is our biggest Kickstarter, our biggest endeavor, pushing us forward into being a first-party publisher. We are super excited about that as well. And for those who are new to Kobold Chats, I'm here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. CST, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I I love doing these shows. We sit down, we talk, I take questions from the audience. I already wrote down, are there going to be winged kobolds? I'll take that back to the Warrens and ask and see what's going on. And if you are watching this right now on YouTube, in the future, on this side here, there's going to be a video to watch, something here. It's probably going to be one of the other playtests, I guess, or maybe whatever the algorithm decides you need to watch. And on this side, there's going to be a bell to click for you to subscribe and get all the updates on YouTube. This is important because as we move forward into the future, we're going to be doing more streaming over on YouTube because we can do it in better quality. We don't have to be a partner to shoot in 4K. For those who don't know, on Twitch, you are stuck in 720 unless you're a partner, and we don't want to partner you. So with that said, if you're watching it, comment down below. Are you into Smallfolk? Do you like the idea of what we've done with kobolds? Do you like that we merged gnomes and halflings together? Before you just shout out no or yes, download it and check it out. There'll be a link below to the TOV website. But thank you so much for joining me today on Kobold Chats, and I will see you tonight. Tonight is the Valiant Soil finale over on YouTube. I'm running an amazing cast over there. Amazing cast over there. And I'm excited to see how they finish up the season finale. Where I only did a 4-episode run, you can find them all over the place and watch them here, but this cast is in for a doozy tonight. And I'll be on it 6 p.m. CST, 7 p.m. Eastern, as we are going to be in the thick of it. It'll be great. So again, boom, hit the bell, video. I'll talk to you guys all next week. Have a great day. Check out the playtest, and I'll see you tonight.